As you settle into the darkness, the shadows cast by the faint moonlight outside begin to seep into your room, like a slow-moving mist, quietly shrouding everything in a soft, gray veil. I always come back to this one, the era of asylums, a time when the boundaries between sanity and madness were blurred, and the lines between compassion and cruelty were often crossed. In the 1800s, these institutions were supposed to be places of refuge, of healing, but they often became prisons, warehouses for the troubled minds, where the desperate and the forsaken were left to fade away. The buildings themselves were imposing, with high walls and narrow windows, designed to keep the chaos of the outside world at bay, but in doing so, they also trapped the chaos within. You would have heard the whispers of patience, the murmurs of despair, the cries of desperation echoing through the long corridors, a haunting reminder of the suffering that lay within. The air was thick with the smell of decay, of rot, of broken dreams, and the sound of footsteps, the rustling of clothes, the faint whisper of a scream, all blended together to create an eerie symphony that seemed to reverberate deep within the soul. As you drift deeper into this world, you begin to see the faces, the eyes, the hollow cheeks, the sunken eyes, the fragile bodies, all bearing the scars of a life lived on the edge, a life torn apart by the very fabric of society. The women, in particular, were victims of a system that condemned them to a life of silence, of obedience, of submission, their minds broken by the relentless pressure of societal norms, their bodies worn down by the drudgery of daily life. They were the ones who were most likely to be committed, to be locked away, to be forgotten, their stories, their voices, their lives, all reduced to a mere whisper, a faint echo of a long-forgotten suffering. In the darkness, the shadows seemed to grow longer, the silence more profound, as if the very weight of their suffering is pressing down upon you, a gentle yet unrelenting pressure that slowly begins to seep into your bones, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lie just beyond the edge of our collective memory. And yet, even in the midst of such darkness, there is a sense of calm, a sense of stillness, a sense of quiet contemplation that seems to envelop you, a soft, soothing balm that gently begins to heal the wounds of the past. As you sink deeper into the darkness, the shadows of the past begin to take shape, and I find myself drawn to the crumbling walls of 19th century asylums, those vast and foreboding institutions that loomed over the landscape like specters of sorrow. I always come back to this one, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia, its granite facade a testament to the grandeur and the despair that dwelled within. The year was 1864, and the Civil War was raging on, but within these walls, a different kind of battle was being fought, one of shattered minds and broken dreams. You would have heard the whispers of the patients, their voices like the rustling of leaves on an autumn night, as they paced the long corridors, their footsteps echoing off the cold stone floors. The air was heavy with the scent of decay and neglect, the stench of unwashed bodies and unfulfilled hopes. The asylums were meant to be places of refuge, of healing and solace, but they often became prisons, locking away the troubled minds, hiding them from the prying eyes of the world. In these dimly lit halls, the boundaries between reality and madness blurred, and the lines between life and death grew faint. The patients were often subjected to inhumane treatments, from bloodletting to lobotomies, in a desperate attempt to cure the incurable, to silence the screams that echoed in the darkness. And yet, amidst the chaos and the cruelty, there were moments of tenderness, of kindness, of humanity, a nurse's gentle touch, a doctor's compassionate ear, a fleeting glimpse of hope in a sea of despair. As the night wears on, the shadows deepen, and the silence grows thicker, like a shroud that wraps around the heart. The asylums stand as a haunting reminder of our collective failure, of the darkness that lurks within us all, waiting to pounce, to consume, to destroy. And in the darkness, the whispers grow louder, a haunting chorus of the forgotten, the lost, and the damned, their voices a somber reminder of the horrors that we have inflicted upon each other, in the name of healing, of helping, of humanity. As the moon casts its silvery glow over the crumbling facades of 19th century asylums, the shadows within their walls seem to grow longer, like skeletal fingers stretching out to snuff out the faint light of hope. You would have heard the whispered tales of these places, where the mentally ill, the disabled, and the destitute were often lumped together, their lives a mere whisper of what they once were. I always come back to this one, the story of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia, where the doors first opened in 1864, and the echoes of despair still linger. The nights were the worst, when the gas lamps flickered and danced, casting eerie silhouettes on the walls, and the patients' cries mingled with the wind rustling through the trees outside. It was a time when the understanding of mental illness was shrouded in mystery and fear, and the treatments were often as brutal as they were ineffective. The asylums were self-sufficient communities with their own farms, gardens, and workshops, where patients were put to work, ostensibly to teach them skills, but in reality to keep them occupied, to keep them from unraveling further. As you wander through the abandoned corridors, the creaking of the wooden floorboards beneath your feet echoes through the stillness, and you can almost hear the soft murmurs of the patients, the rustling of their tattered clothing, the faint scent of carbolic soap and despair. The moonlight filtering through the grimy windows casts an otherworldly glow, illuminating the peeling paint, the rusty medical equipment, and the faded signs that once pointed to the different wards. It's a world that's both hauntingly beautiful and heartbreaking, a world where the lines between reality and madness were constantly blurred. In the darkness, the shadows seem to come alive, whispering tales of lives lost, of hopes dashed, of dreams that were never meant to be. The asylums were a microcosm of the society that created them, a reflection of the fears, the prejudices, and the ignorance of the time. And yet, even in the midst of such darkness, there were moments of beauty, of kindness, of humanity that shone like beacons in the night, reminding us that even in the most forsaken of places, there was always a glimmer of hope. As you settle into the darkness, the weight of forgotten lives begins to seep into your consciousness, like a chill that spreads through the corridors of a long-abandoned institution, the asylums of the 1800s, where the boundaries between sanity and madness were constantly blurred, and the whispers of the afflicted still linger, echoing off the cold, gray walls. I always come back to this one, the story of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia, where the treatments were as brutal as the conditions, and the patients were often subjected to inhumane experiments, their minds and bodies broken by the very people who were supposed to heal them. The air was thick with the smell of decay and desperation, as the inmates, for that's what they were, shuffled through the days, their eyes vacant, their souls crushed by the weight of their own private hells, the sound of screams and wails hanging in the air like a perpetual mist. You would have heard the clanging of chains, the rattle of keys, and the soft murmurs of the attendants as they went about their rounds, dispensing medication and doling out punishments, their faces a mask of indifference as they struggled to maintain order in a place where chaos reigned supreme. In these bleak and unforgiving places, life was a constant struggle, a desperate bid to cling to sanity as the world outside receded, and the only reality was the one within the asylum's walls, where the rules were harsh, and the punishments were severe, and the patients were forced to endure the unendurable, their minds shattered by the cruel whims of their captors. The asylums were a microcosm of the world outside, where the social and economic pressures of the time, the poverty, the inequality, and the lack of understanding all contributed to the breakdown of the human psyche. And the asylums, with their crumbling walls and their broken dreams, were a testament to the darkness that lurked within the human heart. As the darkness deepens, the shadows cast by the asylum's imposing structures seem to grow longer, stretching out like skeletal fingers, grasping for the last vestiges of hope, and the silence is oppressive, punctuated only by the faint whisper of forgotten lives, their stories lost in the annals of time, their memories haunting the empty corridors, a reminder of the horrors that took place within those walls and the lives that were forever changed by the experience. As you drift deeper into the shadows of the past, the whispers of a forgotten era begin to murmur in your ear, and I find myself drawn to the somber tales of 19th century asylums, where the lines between treatment and tyranny were often blurred. The year is 1850, and the world is slowly awakening to the plight of the mentally ill. Yet the institutions built to care for them are often shrouded in mystery and dread. I always come back to this one, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia, a place where the beautiful and the brutal coexisted in an uneasy harmony. You would have heard the sounds of laughter and tears, of whispers and screams echoing through the corridors of this sprawling complex, a place where hope and despair walked hand in hand. The asylums of this era were often designed to resemble grand country estates, with sweeping lawns and ornate facades, a testament to the era's romanticized notion of the curative power of nature and beauty. But beneath the surface, a different reality lurked, one of overcrowding, neglect, and experimentation. Patients were subjected to a range of treatments, from the dubious to the downright barbaric, all in the name of curing their afflictions. The air was thick with the scent of smoke and disinfectant, and the shadows seemed to writhe and twist on the walls as if alive. In the darkness of the night, the asylums took on a life of their own, the creaking of wooden floorboards and the faint rustle of uniforms, the only sounds that broke the stillness. It was as if the very walls were watching, waiting, and listening, their stone hearts beating in time with the fragile hearts of the patients. And in the silence, the whispers grew louder, a haunting reminder of the lives lived and lost within these foreboding walls. The darkness was almost palpable, a living, breathing entity that seemed to seep into the very pores of the soul. As the night wore on, the shadows deepened, and the whispers grew fainter, until all that was left was the soft, gentle hush of the night, a soothing balm for the troubled mind. As you sink deeper into the darkness, the weight of forgotten lives begins to settle around you, like the cold, hard stone that encases the crumbling asylums of the past. I always come back to this one, the thought of those souls trapped within the damp, gray walls, their stories whispered on the wind. In the 1800s, These institutions were the final refuge for the mentally afflicted, the places where society's outcasts were hidden from view, their existence a mere whisper in the shadows. The asylums, with their imposing facades and Gothic spires, stood as testaments to a bygone era, when the mysteries of the mind were still shrouded in fear and superstition. You would have heard the sound of footsteps echoing down long corridors, the soft murmur of hushed conversations, and the occasional muffled cry, as the inhabitants of these places struggled to find peace in a world that seemed determined to lock them away. The smell of decay and neglect wafted through the air, a constant reminder of the fate that awaited those who were deemed unfit for society. And yet, amidst the squalor and the suffering, there were moments of beauty, of tenderness, as the patients found ways to create, to express themselves in the midst of such bleakness. A patient might spend hours crafting a delicate flower from a torn piece of fabric, or pouring their heart out onto the page, in a journal that would never be seen by the outside world. In these asylums, the days blended together, a never-ending cycle of routine and monotony, as the patients were subjected to a range of treatments, from the questionable to the downright barbaric. The sound of dripping water, the creaking of old wooden floorboards, and the faint scent of medication hung in the air, a constant reminder of the fragility of the human mind. And still, the patients held on to hope, a glimmer of light in the darkness, a chance that one day they might be free to walk among the living, to feel the warm sun on their skin and the gentle breeze in their hair. As the darkness closes in around you, the shadows cast by these forgotten lives grow longer, a reminder that even in the darkest of places, there is always a spark of humanity, a spark that refuses to be extinguished. As the darkness falls and the world outside your window grows quiet, I find myself drawn to the shadows of the past, where the whispers of forgotten lives still linger, their stories waiting to be uncovered, like the faint scent of decay that clings to the crumbling walls of old asylums, a haunting reminder of the lives that were lived and lost within their cold, gray confines. You would have heard the creaks and groans of those institutions, the sighs of the desperate, the murmurs of the damned, as the night wore on and the darkness deepened, like a slow-moving fog that seeps into the bones, chilling the very marrow. In the 1800s, these asylums were the repositories of society's most troubled souls, the places where the afflicted, the insane, and the incurable were sent to be hidden away, out of sight, out of mind, their voices, their stories, their lives, reduced to mere whispers, faint echoes that haunt the night. I always come back to this one, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia, its Gothic Revival facade a testament to the era's fascination with the mysterious, the unknown, and the darker aspects of human nature. A place where the boundaries between reality and madness were blurred, like the lines on a worn and weathered face. As I wander through the deserted corridors, the shadows cast by the flickering candles, like skeletal fingers, grasping for the last vestiges of sanity, I am reminded of the countless lives that were lived, and lost within these walls the stories of the patients, the doctors, the nurses, all intertwined like the threads of a frayed rope, slowly unraveling as the years went by, and the asylums, once seen as beacons of hope, became instead places of despair, of desperation, of darkness. The night air is heavy with the weight of their stories, the whispers of the past, the cries, the screams, the silence, all blending together, like the colors of a fading sunset, into a somber and haunting melody that echoes through the chambers of the mind, long after the darkness has receded and the light of dawn has broken. As the darkness gathers, the shadows cast by the flickering gas lamps inside the asylums of the 1800 seem to grow longer, like skeletal fingers reaching out to snuff out the last remnants of hope. You would have heard the sound of whispers, the soft murmur of troubled minds, the creaking of wooden floorboards beneath the feet of the forgotten. I always come back to this one, the story of the asylums, where the walls seem to absorb the cries for help, leaving only an unsettling silence. In these institutions, the boundaries between life and death were often blurred, as if the very fabric of existence had been stretched to its limits. The patients, mostly women, were subjected to a regime of strict rules and harsh treatments, their bodies and minds worn down by the relentless passage of time. The sound of their whispers, a lonely cry for help, still echoes through the deserted corridors, a haunting reminder of the lives that were lost, the dreams that were shattered, and the hopes that were extinguished. As the night wears on, the darkness deepens, and the silence becomes almost palpable. It's as if the asylums themselves are exhaling a sigh of relief, their secrets and stories slowly unraveling, like the threads of a frayed rope. The patients' lives were a testament to the desperation and the despair that often accompanied the darkness, their stories a poignant reminder of the human cost of a system that was designed to heal, but often ended up harming. In the stillness of the night, the asylum's abandoned halls seem to whisper tales of the past, of the lives that were lived, and the deaths that occurred within their walls. The darkness that once shrouded the asylums now seems to be slowly lifting, revealing the fragments of a story that was once hidden, a story of lives that were lost, and the memories that still linger. And as the darkness slowly recedes, the shadows that once seemed so menacing now appear as a reminder of the transience of life and the importance of remembering the past, no matter how painful it may be.